Today at the shop we have this 2018 Jeep Compass. Pretty much what it's in for is for a radio replacement, mainly because the original screen as of right now is not responsive. There's nothing. You can hear audio, but there's no visible touchscreen. Neither does the backup camera that's in here is working, or the touch, so they can't see the AC control or anything like that. So we're gonna replace it with a Pioneer. Once we're done, we record a video and give you guys a demo of it. So we're now done with the install process of the aftermarket stereo in this Jeep Compass. This is the after. It does stick out the radio more further out compared to the original where it was sitting flush. Now that is just based on personal preference. Don't get me wrong, the flushness of the original one, in my opinion, kind of looks a little bit more better, mainly because it sits in there flat. But when these manufacturers make the kits, they're trying to make it as neat as possible, but yet give you that enough depth inside the dash, whereas you can put almost any type of double din in here. That's including shallow chassis, full depth chassis, so that gives you that expandability as far as the installation go. Now, this is the original 7-inch screen that came out of this vehicle. As you can see, it's pretty shallow. That's why on these kits they engineer them so that way the radios stick out, so that way it adds mounting depth, so that way there's enough clearance inside the dash, so that we can tuck the modules, tuck the harnesses, and everything what you would need in order to install the receiver. Now, even though this vehicle came with the factory screen not working, now everything's working. So one of the issues was the reason why we went aftermarket, mainly because of AC controls. They could change the temperature and everything as far as from the controls right here, but they couldn't see exactly what temperature it was being set at, the fan speed, and everything else that was perpetrating to the climate controls. And that's why we decided to go with an aftermarket. We used an iData harness, which is made by Maestro, so that way AC controls and everything integrates with the stereo. So now when a customer touches the dial or messes with the AC control, they'll be able to see everything on the screen, perpetrating temperature, fan speed. If it's on auto, or if it's in dual, they'll be able to see everything on the screen, kind of like how it was before on the original screen before it gave out. We didn't lose any type of functions. Steering wheel controls, those were still retained. Now, one of the cons that we did notice whenever we installed the aftermarket receiver, you can keep the factory auxiliary that's down there, but the only downside was we did have to install an aftermarket USB port. We tried using the factory one, we did have the adapter, but somehow the Pioneer wasn't supporting the factory USB. So instead of trying to keep that USB, we just ended up going with an aftermarket flush mount style. We did it right next to it, so that way it still have access to CarPlay and Android Auto, basically how it's connected right now. Now, this model is the 2000NEX compared to the other Pioneer that we usually sell, which is the 3000 and the 3050. The difference is the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. What I mean by that is that the 2000 is a wired connection only, versus the 3000 and the 3050 is wireless connection and wired at the same time. The customer was trying to keep the cost fairly low, mainly because, of course, the parts necessary for this vehicle wasn't necessarily cheap. So we kept the cost kind of low, but we still added a radio that has similar exact features as the factory one did. Now, this vehicle did also come equipped with SiriusXM built into the stereo, but we used the adapter, so that way we still kept the factory antenna for the SiriusXM, but they just got to call in and transfer their service over, so that way they can get their SiriusXM on the receiver, well, at least their channels and everything else. Another difference too that you get with the Maestro or iData harness is you get to mess with features such as like the rear view camera. If you want to watch it while you're driving, you can do it. I don't recommend watching it while you're driving, but it does have that feature ready for you. And then another thing too, not just only climate controls, but also vehicle information such as a tire pressure sensor, battery voltage, and per se, if you was to have a check engine light, you can diagnose it right there on the screen. It has the little icon for the check engine light. It is blocked off mainly because there isn't any check engine lights or anything on the cluster. That's why it isn't showing. And another features too is performance gauges. Now, on that you can see right there briefly on the screen, this shows you like your RPM gauge, fuel level, and that's just some of the gauges that you can do. Now you can set them, do them differently, but this is just going to be like the simple setup, nothing too crazy, so that way it's fairly easy to use. But it does offer performance gauges. Now, another thing too, what you can do in the settings is that you can set it up. If you was to have like vehicle settings such as door locks, lighting, stuff like that, you are able to access it here on the screen, kind of like per se. So right here where it says OEM settings, vehicle features, right there you can mess with cluster, lights, door locks. So pretty much the factory settings that you'll be able to do on the factory screen, now they can do it also on the aftermarket screen, so that way none of those features are lost. Yeah, nice clean setup overall. At least now they have a responsive screen, it's working, and not just only that, but they also get a better sound as well. Nice upgrade. Oh, and another thing too, so whenever they actually engage the backup camera, they also retain the parking sensors, so not just only they can see it from the stereo, but they can see it as well on the dash. So that's another neat difference too, that the kit offers, that you'll be able to access it there on screen. You want something like this done to your vehicle? We're here at Jimenez Car Audio. Our address is 503 East Central Avenue in the city of Rayford. Our phone number is 910-720-0453. Let us know for your vehicle needs. We're here and happy to help.